Hey, Shell Point. John High, your Academy Manager, back here with Professor Care to talk about another session that we have coming up. This one is our Academy Lunch and Learn. It's on Saturday, February 15th. The lunch starts at 11:45, but talk to us a little bit about our topic for this.
Thank you, John. It's always nice to be back at Shell Point.
Yep.
This is an unusual one in that it's a little bit of history, but a lot of culture and food, hence the lunch.
Yeah.
But the Caribbean islands, of course, go back way before Columbus discovered them. They were settled by the people from South America. There's a lot of debate some years ago as to whether they came from the east to the west, but in fact more recently they've proven they came from Venezuela, island hopping all the way up to Puerto Rico and Dominican. So we now know they came that way around. And there were various tribes like the Arawaks and the Taino. Some were aggressive, some were fishermen, and they lived a simple life, relatively speaking, and they developed an interesting smoking tobacco.
Oh, there we go.
The word cigar comes from the actual Taino word, meaning a tube that you actually smoke tobacco.
Wow.
And that's where it all started.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have the Columbus discoveries, where he thought he discovered China.
Yes,
and in fact,
a little off. Right?
Until his dying day, he had believed he just met the eastern edge of China. He couldn't believe there's another continent that they'd missed. And, of course, he then did 4 journeys, and he sailed from the center part down to the southern group of islands, because he was searching for the way across the Isthmus of Panama to get to the Pacific Ocean. And his last voyage was a rather sad one. He tried to cross the isthmus but got beaten off by mosquitoes and angry Indians, and he went back to Spain in disgrace and pretty much disappeared from history as a vagabond, as a villain, as a monster.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, he had a terrible reputation with the natives. He skinned them alive, he tortured them to get gold, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
So as Spain extended its interest in the West, so we see the Caribbean islands all coming under Spain, and then moving into Florida, and then up into North America proper and South America. And that's the story of the Spanish New World. But the actual islands were found to be extremely valuable to all the colonists, whether it's the Danish, the Swedish, the English, the Dutch, the French, the Spanish. Everybody wanted a piece of the islands for various reasons. Some was calico, some was timber, some was sisal for making ropes for ships. And the Brits, of course, were able to take advantage of the fact that sugar grows tremendously well in the Caribbean. It actually came from Southeast Asia, then it moved to Europe for the Portuguese, then it moved to Brazil, and the Dutch moved it up to the Caribbean, and the Brits said, this is great. In fact, Jamaica and Barbados combined with their huge production of sugar generated more wealth for the British Empire than the whole of the 13 colonies at the time of independence.
That's unreal.
And it's part of the reason why Britain was spread when the war took place for independence. Britain was covering the Caribbean from the French and the other people, and making sure the sugar was flowing into London, but also having to deal with these difficult colonists who wanted independence. Unfortunately, as time went on, the great wealth generating mechanism of sugar was overtaken by modern technology, and sugar beet became the much easier, grows in Europe, easy to harvest, and temperate climates, so you don't need people who have to work in terrible conditions for many hours in the sun. And so it was that from the mid-1800s onwards, the decline in local sugar production meant that the islands became devastated. And in fact, if you go to the islands today, tourism is by far the biggest form, by far.
Has to be.
A little bit of dodgy banking, which we won't talk about, the Cayman Islands. But the old sugar mills and the sugar grinding systems are still there, and there's 1 or 2 islands which are outstanding. They've restored the plantation, and you can see sugar being grown and being cut and then being ground up and being processed, just like it was in the old days.
Wow.
But it's a declining world.
And modernization.
Indeed it is. It's really sad because they've gone from super wealthy to rather sad.
Well, there's a big, rich history and a lot to talk about there. But also, part of the Lunch and Learn is a little Caribbean flair to the lunch.
Indeed, yes, that's exciting. They each have their own specialty meals, of course, in the different islands. Coconuts, of course, and spices, and cocoa, coffee, all these wonderful things. Nutmeg. So it's a wonderful source of these spices, which in fact weren't indigenous to the Caribbean apart from cocoa. They came from the Far East.
Okay. Well, there are a few tickets left for this, Shell Point. So once again, this is Saturday, February 15th. Lunch starts at 11:45 in the Banyan Grill, or the Banyan Banquet Room. You'll sign up through the concierge desk, so it's an Academy Lunch and Learn. Hope to see you there.